Hi everyone, I'd like to go ahead and get started. Today's presentation, what's new in SAFe 4.6 for lean enterprises. My name is Rich Weller and I work for an organization called Pcubed. Just a little bit of housekeeping for today's session. For those folks that are on the call, I've got you muted out as today's session will be recorded, and that'll help reduce any background noise. I do encourage you, however, to jot down any questions that you might have, and when we get to the end of the session, as time remains, I'll be certain to try to answer any of those questions that you might have. So without further ado, let's move forward. Today's presentation is actually being sponsored by the Southeast Michigan chapter of the Scaled Agile Framework Meetup Group. So if you are anywhere geographically close to Southeast Michigan, do know that there is a meetup group that periodically meets to discuss the challenges and or success stories around scaling Agile up and throughout an organization. About me, as mentioned already, my name is Rich Weller. I'm not about to read all of the bullets that are on this slide. MBA, PMP, certified in project, and probably most importantly for today's session, I'm Agile certified and been delivering in this project management space, been delivering projects, programs, and portfolio management solutions for over 20 years. I'm actually Agile certified in a couple of different slots here. I have a Scrum Master certification, as well as I'm a certified Agile consultant. I'm actually titled a SAFe program consultant. That's what the SPC acronym stands for, and we'll touch on that a little bit more as we move forward throughout today's presentation. But again, hopefully with those things in place, I can encourage you to listen along and maybe learn something about SAFe. And the intent of today's presentation is to provide you an overview of what's new in this latest version of SAFe, which is the 4.6 version. So in addition to me holding a couple of Agile certifications, the other reason why I feel somewhat qualified to bring you this information and this material is that we, the organization that I work for, Pcubed, is actually Pcubed, a partner of SAFe, or I should say a partner of the Scaled Agile organization. So we have insight, to a great deal of information and the latest and greatest coming from Scaled Agile. So with that intent being said, let us now move forward with the presentation. We've got an agenda for today. We're going to kind of dive into 5 different things. It's going to be we're going to move fast. There's a lot of information being covered in a short amount of time. We're going to take a look at the configuration selector. We're going to examine 5 different core competencies within SAFe. We're going to review the SAFe for government at a high level, take a look at some case studies, and then discuss the SAFe implementation roadmap. So that's the agenda. The next slide that I've got here is actually, again, that first topic, which is the configuration selector. But rather than deliver this presentation by looking at a bunch of slides, I think I'd rather walk the tightrope here and bring up the Scaled Agile Framework website. So again, I'm just simply typing in Scaled Agile Framework, and I'm going to their website. And as soon as we bring up that website, we'll actually run live so that you can see all of this stuff firsthand. And also, just so you know, you'll notice I'm not logged in any way. Everything that I'm showing you here today, you actually have access to. I'm here more to make you aware that you do have access and where some of these things are at. So again, we're going to talk a little bit about this configuration selector, When we first come in, it comes into the configuration for portfolio safe. But to be quite honest, when most organizations start their transformation journey into SAFe, they usually try to start off with the Essential SAFe, because that's like the most basic framework. So if I click on the Essential SAFe, you'll notice that it kind of drops down to, there's two different levels. You basically have your program level and your team level. So this is the configuration that most organizations start with when they begin implementing SAFe. The next tab in the configuration selector is the large solution SAFe. So you'll notice when I click on that, now I get a configuration which I move from the team to the program to an option for large solution, which this large solution incorporates multiple programs or multiple Agile release trains, as we like to call them within our SAFe world. So you can see a large solution comprises multiple programs, and a program comprises multiple projects, or in our SAFe terminology, teams. Portfolio SAFe, the one that we started with, this is probably the most from those of us in the traditional project management world. We're kind of used to those three layers, or three levels, if you will, of portfolio, program, and project, and then again in this case team. So this is very common to a number of us that have been around the project management world for some time. And then the final configuration is the full SAFe. Now, again, why are these different configuration options here? They're really here to show you that SAFe is configurable to meet the needs of your organization. So one of the phrases that I use is, we need to right-size the project management solution that we're putting in place for our organization. And with the configuration selector, we have the ability to do that. The last option here is full SAFe, so this is the full framework. So now we get to see how the portfolio SAFe can be broken down to multiple large solutions, which incorporate multiple programs and multiple teams. So if you have a really large organization and maybe you've been working in the SAFe world for some time, this would be the configuration of choice. So that kind of concludes the configuration selector, and where I'd like to move now is to another one of the latest features in SAFe, and that's what they call the 5 core competencies. And those 5 core competencies, they're these circles here. So these are kind of a new feature within our SAFe framework, and for those of you that may not be too familiar with this website or this framework, actually this looks like a picture, but all of these are icons that you'll notice if I hover over. They're all hyperlinked, and that leads you to more information about that item or that image. But I'll come back to the item that's new in the latest version of SAFe is these core competencies, and these are depicted by the circles that are these 5 blue circles here. And we'll start down here at the bottom of the framework, which is the Lean Agile Leadership. And these core competencies, the reason that they're here, I see them as entry points, or portals, if you will, into the SAFe framework as a whole. So depending upon what your role is in your organization would kind of dictate which portal you would go through. So for instance, the Lean Agile Leadership, if I click on that's for the executives or the leadership of an organization. They could come in this way, and it provides insights as to how they should perform their role and tips on guiding the organization, and probably more importantly, leading a transformation if the organization is looking to move into a SAFe model or implement or leverage SAFe. This page is this portal is all about helping the executive or leader lead that SAFe transformation. Okay, so that's what this this core competency is all about. Moving up the ladder, we're at the team level. So this is a team and technical agility is the core competency here. So if you're in an organization which has Scrum teams already in place, that's great. This would be the entry point for those teams, explaining why and who. But really, the key component of this core competency is really to focus on creating high-performing teams. So that's what you'll learn from this coming in this way, is how to create a high-performing team, and how that team or helping that team understand the bigger picture of SAFe, or the Scaled Agile framework that they're within. DevOps is the next core competency up. So no longer do we live in a world where it's us versus them and development versus operations. We live in a world where DevOps is a mindset. It's the way we work. We develop together. We release on demand. This page, or this portal, provides you insight as to how to break down silos across the organization, so that program or Agile release train is working as effectively and efficiently as possible. And then it provides insight as to the various ceremonies that should occur at not only at the team level, but also at the program level, to help ensure that the organization or the teams are tightly integrated with the overall goal or objective is for us to be able to continuously deliver at any point in time. So DevOps is that core competency. Business solutions and lean systems is the next level up. So this one's really geared for organizations that are building large solutions, large systems or large solutions, and this is bringing multiple programs together. That's what this portal is all about. How do we bring large programs together? How do we integrate those programs so the right people are getting the right information at the right time? There's a great picture in here that kind of shows the fact that we are at this level, large solution level. We are now on board the solution train, which is depicted by this bigger picture. We are delivering value, and it takes multiple trains, or it takes multiple Agile release trains on board our solution train to deliver these large, complex solutions. So coming in through this portal, or this core competency, will give an individual insight as to how better to do that. Lean portfolio management, that's our fifth core competency. If we drill into that, this is all about establishing those epics and determining which projects we should be working on, what are those right projects that we should be working on, and ultimately then funding those projects. And so that's what's talked about within this section, is aligning your strategy, your projects to your strategy, and funding those. So that kind of concludes the core competencies. Again, these are new features or options which are now available to us within the SAFe framework. So if you had visited this site before and you looked at this Scaled Agile framework and you really weren't certain as to where to start, well, now, based upon your role, you can pick the path that's best for you. And so that's why I believe they inserted or created these core competencies, to bring you in, again, to give you that portal to come into the framework and to get started based upon your frame of reference. So the next thing that I would like to talk about is I'll move back to the PowerPoint presentation for this one. I'd like to talk about another newly added feature within SAFe, and that is SAFe for government. So SAFE, or the Scaled Agile organization, has developed, as you can see here on the screen, a set of success patterns that help public sector organizations implement lean agile practices in a government context. So, most of us have this mindset that our government is very rigid. I think maybe for any of us that have worked on government-related programs in the past, there's a lot of things that are very rigid, very structured, and the thought that the government would move to an agile-based framework or approach may have seemed not anywhere close to possible, but it actually is. The Scaled Agile organization has seen a great deal of success within the government sector. And here's a quotation. I wish I could say I knew Mr. Keenan or the role that that he is working on for us in his government job, but we can see his quote here. It says that in 10 months we have turned around a failing effort into a success story for the warfighter, for our organization culture, and for the taxpayer. And then he goes on to say, we could not have executed a turnaround this fast without SAFE, or the Scaled Agile framework. So that's a good a good quote there from Mr. Keenan, one that is worthy of us to then go a little farther, or dig a little deeper. And the next slide in the presentation shows you the various government agencies that actually are at this point in time using or leveraging SAFE, or the Scaled Agile framework. So that's kind of a high-level overview about how government has been integrated into, or I should say how SAFE has been integrated into the government sector. Let us move now back to our online version of the Scaled Agile framework, and now you ask the question, okay, well, where is that government? How is the government integrated in? And they actually, there's an icon here at the upper left quadrant of the framework, and then you'll notice that it says government, and I hover over that, and you can see it's a hyperlink. So if I click on it, a whole nother page opens up, and this page is, again, almost like another portal, if you will, coming into the SAFE framework. Please bear with me. It looks like maybe a little network glitch there. We are rendering. And as a backup, apologize for the technical difficulties. As a backup, I just happened to have opened up all of the tabs on another screen just in case the technical gods weren't good to me. You'll notice that this is that web page for the SAFE for Government, and there's a great deal of information that has been accumulated here. There's a number of recommended sources. There's some great videos here that talk about SAFE within government. You'll see also a number of upcoming events. Of course, as you can imagine, a number of them are within the DC area. And then also down here at the bottom, a number of additional videos, as well as even more resources. So I think that gives you an introduction. Again, given our constraints of time, I can't go too deep into any of these newly added features, but I figure if I make you aware that these are here, then that's a first start, and you can pick up on the journey and take yourself farther. So you'll notice also there's a little roadmap here that kind of provides some guidance towards getting certified. So, okay, so moving on to our next topic, what I wanted to show you now is some case studies. So we may ask the question, okay, Rich, I can see all this stuff. There's a lot of things here. Does does this stuff really work? And there's a section here, there's a heading here that says case studies, and if I click on that, we'll move over to the case studies. Again, I apologize for the technical difficulties there, but they've got an entire page devoted to case studies. Now, the case studies that have been compiled here have actually been created by individuals or organizations, or individuals working within organizations that have actually implemented SAFe. And so these case studies are coming from those organizations. They're not case studies produced by Scaled Agile. They're case studies produced by these organizations and that have been submitted across. And you'll notice that you too, if you're in an organization which has implemented SAFe and have a good story to tell, you could submit your case study and it would appear here. And the cool thing about this page, or these these case studies, is that they can be filtered. They can be filtered by industry. So right now we're on the filter of all, but maybe I want to look at only the manufacturing organizations. So if I click on manufacturing, now I can see a number of case studies that are geared towards just manufacturing. And I'll pause right here for just a moment, because these are case studies that have been submitted by organizations to the Scaled Agile organization. If you are looking for a partner to help you on your transformation journey from your current state to your desired future state, and if you believe that SAFe is a mechanism to help your organization move quicker, faster, and make better decisions, call upon us. Call upon the organization that I work for, Pcubed. We have a number of case studies where we have implemented SAFe within various organizations, and we can share with you. We can share those case studies with you and how we've been able to help others out. And I think that brings us to our next topic, which is, let me try the network again one more time here. The next topic, which brings us to a roadmap, or roadmaps. And so at the bottom of the Scaled Agile Framework website, you'll notice that there's a page here that says Implementation Roadmap, and if you click on that, you are brought to a page that looks just like this. And what this page does, it provides an organization guidance on that Agile transformation journey that I referenced just a moment ago. So here's the SAFe implementation roadmap, and maybe you're in a current state where you're currently, you're currently trying to manage your projects in a waterfall fashion, or you're managing them ad hoc using Agile and not in a very consistent or integrated way. Or maybe you're in an organization where it's a mixture of both, and you need to kind of bridge both those worlds and pull those worlds together. And so maybe that's where you are, and you've reached that tipping point where you're ready to go SAFe. And so that's what this says. This is your tipping point. And then your next step is to bring in or train lean agile change agents, and have those change agents train the executives or the managers or leaders within your organization, so they have that understanding of SAFe and the Agile principles, processes, practices, and techniques. And once the leadership understands that terminology, the direction, and all of that, then they can help drive that change that's needed. The next step in the process would be to identify value streams. That's those identify value streams and ARTs, or your Agile release trains, or to say it differently, your programs, the one you would want to work with. Create your implementation plan. Prepare for your ART launch. Prepare to launch that program. train your teams and launch the art. Then you coach that art through execution, and you're going to come out of there, of course, with a successful win. You take that win and move forward, and bring in other Agile release trains, and train them up and get them on board as well. Once you have a number of Agile release trains on board, then you extend the model up to the portfolio level, and once you get that far, the journey beyond that moves into sustaining and improving. Now, you'll notice that along this journey, along this roadmap, there are a number of little dots here, and each one of these icons, it actually indicates a training course and certification that is available. So, for instance, the very first one that they're showing here is called SA. It's the SA certification, and it's for the learning how leading safe is the course there. A 2-day event, which again, very hands-on, very interactive, but the individual coming out of that event has a much better understanding of the Scaled Agile framework, all the levels, a number of different icons, than what I could ever give you in 30 minutes. There's also a new certification for Safe for Government, so that's shown here. The SPC certification is next. This is that Safe Program Consultant. That's the certification that I hold. Again, I am looked at as that Agile change agent. With that SPC certification, that allows me to actually deliver training, and help others get certified. And then you'll notice that moving down the journey here, one of the additional certifications is for the Safe Scrum Master, and there's a number of additional certifications along the way. But I want to pause right here with this Safe Scrum Master because this the Scrum Master role has become very key, and they are very key in the whole, they're kind of like the foundation of the Scaled Agile framework and making this work. And so with that being said, I'd like to cut over now, or cut back over to the presentation, and show you this. The last thing I'll show you here is this icon. These statistics are actually rolling up from the organizations that have implemented SAFE, and so these statistics say by implementing SAFE you'll get a 30 to 75% improvement in time to market, a 25 to 75% improvement in quality, 20 to 50% improvement in productivity, and a 10 to 50% increase in engagement. Those are the individuals within the framework. And so again, these are not statistics that SAFE is making up, they're statistics that are rolling up from those various case studies. So the last thing that I'll talk about here is a Safe Scrum Master course. So if this holding a Scrum Master certification is something that is a desire for you, do realize that the meetup group that I referenced earlier, I'm sorry, let me say that again. If the Safe Scrum Master course is of interest to you, do realize that the Pcubed, again a partner of the Scaled Agile organization, is looking to deliver a Safe Scrum Master course here in the near future. If you would like to if you would like to learn more about that Safe Scrum Master course, or stay abreast of our latest developments as far as when the next class will be offered, I encourage you to join that meetup group, which is the meetup group of the Scaled Agile framework of Southeast Michigan. So if you join that group, from there, you'll be able to get more information and gain more information about this Safe Scrum Master course. It's a 2-day course, very hands-on, very interactive. You walk out with a good study guide, as well as directions on how to then go and take the online certification test to become a SAFE certified Scrum Master. So with that, I've actually made it to the last slide. I do apologize. I'm kind of I did a poor job of time management. I have run out of time to take any questions on this call, but I do encourage you, if you have questions or comments, please send them to me via my email address there, rich.weller@pcubed.com, or you can message me through LinkedIn. So listen, thanks for joining me for today's presentation. I hope you got a nugget or two of value, and I'll see you in a future session. Thank you very much.